Hello, Phil Swann here again with another quick episode of Together, where we look at good mental health, well-being and the Christian hope. One of the joys of parenthood is you get to play with your children's toys. Perhaps it takes a little while till they get a bit older. There comes a point where shared interest and enthusiasm, and it can be an absolute joy to share time with your child as they play with their toys and you join in as well. One of the things I remember when our lad was growing up was he had a remote control car, and it was quite robust. It was made by Lego. I'm sure other manufacturers make remote control vehicles as well, but he had a great time, and the house where we were living at the time had quite a large hard floor, and so we would have terrific fun setting up obstacles, careering around with this remote control car. And it is fun to feel that you're in control of this little thing moving around. If I turn it to the left, it goes to the left. It doesn't argue back. If I tell it to stop or go into reverse, it stops and goes into reverse. It does exactly what I want it to do. I am in control. I have the power. We all like to be in control in life, but there are two big challenges that come with the issue of control, which can sometimes be a difficulty to us and can sometimes put us in a difficult place. The first is this, that we need to recognize that whoever we are in life, inevitably we will always face some situations that we can't control. And those times can be very difficult. They can cause a lot of anxiety and sometimes even a great deal of fear. So I'm talking about the unexpected and the unwanted, the big things, a sudden diagnosis, a loss, maybe of a relationship or of a job, or worst of all, the loss of a loved one. And these are often things that we simply cannot control. We didn't expect them to happen. They came out of nowhere and they came with great force. Now, we need to recognize when things like this happen that it's very easy for us to go into ourselves and somehow to believe that these bad things are happening because I am a bad person, or that somehow this is some sort of judgment on my life. Instead, we need to recognize that all of us live life in a context where stuff happens to everyone. In other words, everybody experiences from time to time the unexpected and the unwanted that we have no control over. And recognizing that can be a great help to us. So instead of blaming ourselves, we come to accept that we're just part of a world where these things happen in the same way that everyone else is. The second problem with control, though, is when people try to control us. And that's never a pleasant experience, is it? Sometimes we may even go so far as to talk about toxic control that people are exercising over us. They're trying to coerce us to do something. That means to get us to do something that we don't want to do, or they might even feel we shouldn't do. They may use all sorts of methods to do this. They may try humiliating us. They may try bullying us. They may try promising us good things if we do what they want us to do. And having coerced us, they often will try and control us then, keep us in that place where we don't want to be. How do you deal with people who want to manipulate you in this way? Well, that's a huge question, and it's more than we can really talk about comprehensively in this brief episode of Together. But I think what is helpful when you feel that someone is trying to control you is that at the end of the day to tell yourself, well, actually, I don't have to do what they're telling me to do. There's often a bit of kidology with people who control and bluster. They assume that you're going to do what they want you to do. And they may present it in such a way that you feel you ought to do it and you must do it. And if you're not careful, you get carried along with this. But the truth is, you don't. You are a free person, you have agency, you have absolutely every right to say, no, I'm not going to do this, or simply not to do it. And we have to believe in ourselves at times like that, particularly when the things that people are trying to get you to do are unhealthy for yourself. The other thing is we need to set up boundaries with people like this, which means that we might say, well, no, I'm not going to do that, but instead I'm going to do this. I'll meet you halfway. Or instead of doing this straight away, I'll do this tomorrow. That's sometimes quite helpful because it reminds the person who's trying to control you, and after all, they may be doing it unintentionally, but that you too have an opinion, you too have a life, which is important for them to recognize. And then the last thing I'd say is we need to feel pity for those who try to control us. People will try and control you because often they're anxious people or fearful people, and they're looking for some sort of traction on life by being able to control you. And that should really just elicit a response from within us of pity. And when we pity people who are trying to control us, again, we take away some of their power. Now, what has this to do with the Christian hope? Well, the great Christian hope is it's not ultimately people who can control us. It's not even life that can control us. But the great thing the Bible tells us is that in all the chaos of life and in all the confusion of human relationships, God is the one who's ultimately in control. And he has things for us to do. He has a purpose and a path for us and for the Christian in the life in which they live. But his method of getting us to do what he wants us to do is not coercion and control, but it is ultimately love and obedience. The more he shows us of himself in Jesus Christ, in terms of who he is and what he has done for us, and ultimately he's done the greatest thing of all. He has died for us that we might have eternal life. The more we see that, the more he gets us to understand that, the more willing we are to walk in his ways and to walk in obedience to the call he has placed upon our lives. God's control of us, despite what some people may try and tell you, is actually wonderfully helpful and liberating. It brings us closer and closer to a greater sense of fulfillment and ultimately a greater sense of the freedom that we have in Jesus Christ. So God is in control. Always remember that, despite what anybody else may tell you. And his desire for us to walk in his ways is driven by revealing himself to us, that we love him more. And as a result of loving him more, we desire to serve him better. Well, may God bless you and help you to understand more of these things and apply them in your life. And if you found this helpful, don't forget to like and share this on social media, and also to subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can keep up to date with the things we're producing. God bless you.